When you take a platform that's got as much clout as Netflix, and you tease something that could have been so great, like, when it turns out to be terrible, you feel some type of way. Neo Yokio, I had such high hopes for this series. When I first saw that it was on Netflix, I had to watch it. I watched it immediately. Initially, I was, a little bit offset by the shitty voice acting, and the Kappa Mikey style of animation sort of threw me off, because I was expecting, from the description of a demon hunting main character, I was expecting a traditional shonen, but the animation style sort of told me otherwise. It's got a very interesting backstory. The setting isn't, let's not say the setting isn't too bad, because in all reality, the background of Neo Yokio is the only thing that's interesting. There hasn't been a lot to really make us care about Neo Yokio. The underwater parts of the city weren't really expanded on. It just came out of nowhere in the first episode. There was no explanation on it. We have no sense of scope or idea of the whole city. Like, we get little snippets and they're rarely ever explained. So we can't really grow attached to the city. Growing attached to the characters is literally impossible. Like I said, they wrote a very good description. Whoever wrote the description for this show ought to get a promotion. Honestly. He or she wrote something that could have been an extremely good shonen. Were it in the hands of someone of the same studios that made, say, Hunter x Hunter, Blue Exorcist, one of those sorts of shows. That could have been a good premise with this same background plot, even with the same character. If we X'd the shitty voice acting, of course. But no, we got this. We took a good idea and turned it into a train wreck that is just difficult to watch. Like, just listen to this.
And you out here looking like a pound puppy.
Sorry, guys, but I can barely navigate the hellish vortex between breakfast and dinner, let alone the labyrinth of the field hockey field. Win, lose, we'll all be equal in the grave.
Like, is that entertainment? That, I can't tell. This was the initial problem with the show. I couldn't tell where it lied on the spectrum. I couldn't tell if it was comedy. I was expecting action, and I had that impression throughout the entire first episode, so obviously they weren't doing good at portraying a comedy for me. I thought the voice acting was just bad, until I figured out it was Jaden Smith. Then I realized it was bad because it's Jaden Smith, and not someone who's a dedicated voice actor. But even still, unless he wrote the entire script, that doesn't excuse the terrible script. This show gives me major Kappa Mikey vibes. And if anyone's ever seen Kappa Mikey, they know that should be a good thing. But when you get vibes from something that's so great, and you end up trash, it's even worse, because now we have something great to compare you to that you'll never reach. I tried very hard to get as far as I could through this show. Watched the first through third episodes. Started watching the fourth episode, which I could not tell you for the life of me what it was about. But I woke up somewhere between the second half of the fourth or the beginning of the fifth, I do not remember, to something of some Soviet Russian race car driver and a racing Grand Prix in the city, and his old tennis girlfriend came back and she was dating one of the racers, or and the Russian girl just kept running, and I had no clue. Like, your show should not put me to sleep. And, like, I don't understand. And when I wake up, it shouldn't be so hard for me to grasp what's been going on so far in the episode. But that's enough ragging on the show. I think from what I've been seeing on YouTube, the reception's not been the greatest. So let's not add to that, even though we kind of already are. Instead, let's look at what Neo Yokio could have been. And the way I see it, there's two ways the show could have went. It could have went the way that I expected it to go before I watched it. A dedicated action shonen with the exact same premise, only a better art style, more money put into their animation, and more focus on the action itself. In its current state, they don't put very much focus on the action, so the action's sort of just lazy. Well, not lazy, because it's not intended to be an action anime. So I guess you could say it's just not emphasized, per se. Do all of that. Extra, more focus on action, better animation, different art style, turn it into a shonen, it could have been great. Or we could have went for a better script, better voice acting, and maybe a bit of a change to the whole demon hunter part of the story, because that doesn't really provide a lot of good comedy. But, you know, that is one aspect of the show that's different. So I suppose without that, the show wouldn't be what it is. But if it wasn't what it was, it would probably be better. Like, had this show been a project on YouTube, this would actually be very good quality for a YouTube series. I'm not going to lie. But it's not. It's on Netflix. So all of that doesn't apply. In terms of a Netflix series, it's subpar. You know, I mean, I'm no writer. I'm no producer, director, so, you know, don't take my word for it. I'm just a guy on the internet. Like, comment, and maybe subscribe.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, the young master's neighbors are quite sensitive to smoke. Best not to.
Good thing I brought my vape.
Raising the boss of these lames ain't close. Spooked when I spit, feel the flames of a ghost. Don't hear no moves if I do, then they toast. Tsunami flow, biggest wave in the coast. I'm posted with a post-it. On a poster, you supposed to feel the motions of the ocean. Cause I'm smooth as Frank Ocean. Wavy, yes, I'm not boasting, I'm being frank. Be frank, I roast it. Your verse on Nike, they'll need a bigger dose.